Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. Today we're talking about Wind River. Now originally I wasn't going to see this movie. I hadn't seen any previews for it, so it really didn't appeal to me when I saw that it was playing at the theater. Didn't know anything that it was about. However, one day while I was at work, I kind of peeked into the theater to see what it was about. And it looked pretty interesting, so I figured what the hell, I'll check it out when I got some free time. So I went ahead and checked it out, and it turned out to actually be a pretty decent film. Not the most in-depth story, not the greatest film of the year, but considering some of the stuff I've seen lately, it actually stands out amongst the group. So, yeah, this one actually turned out to be better than I thought it was going to be. So the story is about a guy who works on an Indian reservation as basically a park ranger. If there's any animals that are causing havoc or whatever, he hunts them down and kind of takes care of the problem. And he's officially employed by the reservation as a ranger, but kind of just does his own thing, doesn't really have anyone that he answers to, per se. So one day while he's out on patrol, he finds the body of a girl frozen in the snow, and he can kind of tell something's not right about the fact that this girl's dead out here, and he kind of thinks that she may have been murdered. So the FBI comes in because the reservation is technically considered federal land. So if the death is ruled as a murder, then they can call in federal agents to investigate. But she has to basically determine whether or not it's worth putting the resources into, blah, blah, blah. So they meet up with the medical examiner, and he basically says, based on how she actually died, I can't put murder on the death certificate because she died from basically exposure to the cold. And she's like, well, if you don't put murder on the death certificate, I can't get the feds in here to help with this situation and solve this case. And he goes, well, unfortunately, we all know she was murdered. We all know basically what went down here, but she died from exposure. You know, if it wasn't for her being out in the cold, she wouldn't have died, but why she was out in the cold obviously was because of other circumstances. So she's basically trying to investigate on her own to see if she can determine what happened and basically come up with more grounds to get her team in there to take care of the case. So basically she asks the sheriff, you know, can the ranger help me out with the situation if I ask him? And he goes, I don't see why not. It's up to him. He doesn't work for me. You know, you just have to ask him. And at first he's kind of hesitant. You know, he's like, I got work to do. But she's like, you know, I really want to solve this. I really need your help. And the only reason he agrees to help is because this girl died in a similar way to his daughter, who had died years earlier, in that he had gone away into the city for something and stayed there overnight, and during that time his daughter had a party. It started out with just a few of her school friends, then some more of their friends showed up, and then some people that didn't go to the school showed up, and then some people that weren't friends of anybody showed up, and the next thing he knows, his daughter was also found dead out in the snow, and no one really knows what happened or how she got there, or why she was out there to begin with. So since this is a similar situation, he agrees to help out because it kind of gives closure to his daughter's case as well. So basically, he helps her track down, you know, like where she ran from, what happened, who was involved, blah, blah, blah. And they basically found out who did it, and I'm not going to say who it was, because that would be kind of a spoiler, but really, it doesn't really lead into anything. Like, I could tell you who it is, and you could watch the movie and be like, okay, didn't understand why that came out of nowhere, but whatever. So me telling you who it was really wouldn't matter at this point, but again, don't want to spoil it in case you're actually interested in watching it. The one thing I do like about the movie is they don't tie it back into his daughter any more than the similar deaths. And basically what I mean by that is once he finds out who the murderer is, it's not suddenly revealed that, oh yeah, I killed another girl 3 years ago or whatever, and it turns out, oh yeah, that was his daughter. It doesn't do that. He still has no answers to his daughter or why she died, but he's able to bring this other family closure on how their daughter died, and as a result, it kind of gives him closure and gives him a little bit of peace that he was finally able to solve a murder even if it wasn't his daughter's. So if you like the whodunit and kind of mystery type of movies like this, you'll probably like it. Like I said, I didn't know anything about it going into it, other than the little bit I saw in the theater that looked interesting, and it turned out to be a fairly decent movie. What would I give it as far as a star rating? I'd probably say a 3.5. Like I said, it wasn't spectacular, but considering all the other stuff I've seen lately has just been kind of redundant or uneventful cookie-cutter nonsense, this one actually stood out a little bit. So based on that alone, I give it above the middle of the road, but again, not really super eventful. A lot of it, like I said, once you find out who did it, it doesn't really tie back into anything. Like the mystery isn't really all that great, but it's an entertaining watch. So for that, I give it a 3.5. So that's all I have to say about this one. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are down in the description. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you get notifications every time I post new content. And until next time, I'll see you after the credits.